For over 60 years, the Guatemala City Garbage Dump has been the home and workplace for thousands of families who have made their living recycling the city's trash. Many outsiders and journalists have called it a living hell. Yet for these people, it is a source of life. This 40-acre ravine is the largest landfill in Central America and consumes over 1/3 of the country's total trash.
Mi marido tenía como 15 días de haber muerto. Pues yo no tenía que comer. Y me dijo la madrastra de él, mire, la voy a llevar a un lugar, me dijo, donde va a trabajar, me dijo. Y me trajo por esa calle. Y yo voy viendo todos los sopes. ¿Qué es eso? Le dije yo. Es un basurero, me dijo. Que yo recoja, usted recoja, me dijo. Y me dieron ganas de regresarme por allá y traía a mi nenito de 2 meses, al tercero. Y me lo traje y me dijo, acuérdese al niño en esa caja, me dijo, y vamos a ir a trabajar, me dijo. Y dejé a mi nenito en una caja de cartón, al que tiene ahorita 17 años.
This toxic landfill exists in the most dangerous and poverty-stricken area of the city. Few people are even aware of what has evolved into the capital's dirtiest secret. In the 1960s, authorities coined the term guajero for the growing number of people who salvage the city's trash.
There's about 1,700 guajeros here in the landfill, and they've been working here for 20, 30, 40 years. And there's even some families, the grandfather, the son was born here, and then the grandson was born here too and are still working here. They've been here for so long, we could even say they own the landfill, you know?
Yo aquí estoy desde los 8 años estoy aquí. Mis papás, que ellos tomaban mucho y se murieron de cirrosis. Aquí he crecido, pues ya me acostumbré a estar aquí en mi tierra, aquí con mi gente. Ya llegué a mi casa. Me gusta estar aquí porque me siento libre, independiente y no estoy apresado, nadie me manda, sino que me manda soy yo.
A veces uno agarra un bus y se va, digamos, a la playa, al mar, a algún lugar así.
No me gusta salir mucho, no. Tengo miedo de que algo me pase en el camino.
They are people that have been, for a long time, mistreated by society, by the municipality. They've been lied to. So they're people that don't trust anymore the government, whoever that comes in here and tells them, listen, we're gonna help you, we're gonna do this for you, they don't trust them anymore.
Located south of Mexico, the country of Guatemala forms a bridge between the Atlantic and Pacific. Until 1996, this land of pastoral beauty was spoiled by the turmoil of nearly 40 years of civil war. As coffee prices dropped, farmers continued a mass departure from their traditional ways of life. With nearly 1 in every 3 people moving to Guatemala City, thousands of unskilled workers have not found means to provide for even basic food and shelter.
No se puede negar que hoy generan ingresos y que es una actividad económica importante al nivel de las personas que vienen a la ciudad. Sin embargo, la municipalidad ha estado tratando, su esfuerzo no ha sido suficiente. Todavía hubo muchos niños allá adentro que sufrieron tiempos muy difíciles, situaciones, momentos tristes y tal vez que van a marcar su vida para siempre.
What really struck me was just the enormity of it and the overwhelming stench. I mean, I had never smelled anything like it. And when I went down into the dump and I saw just these mounds of garbage and so many adults and so many children in there spending their days in very dangerous conditions, scavenging in filthy, filthy garbage, looking for something that they could sell. I find among some people a sense of pity for the people who are working in the garbage dump, and there's a real sense of horror, like, oh, that's just terrible, you know, that kids are working in the garbage dump in real disbelief, because there's almost this onlooker effect of people looking at it and analyzing it and commenting on it, but really reluctant to get directly involved.
Hay bastante gente que piensan que solo porque uno trabaja en el basurero, tal vez dicen que uno es ladrón, que uno es basurero, que ahí solo drogadictos hay, que o sea, la gente lo critica a uno. Mucha gente lo critica a uno solo porque uno trabaja aquí.
Lo que vendo porque de eso es lo que como. En segundo lugar, porque saneamos un poco la ciudad, porque de todo lo que recogemos es basura. Que de la basura que muchos ya no usan, miles de familias vivimos de eso. ¿Cuánto hubiera aquí sin trabajar? Imagínense, ya no comieran.
Surrounding the dump on reclaimed landfill, many Guajeros live in tattered settlements built upon the treasures they have found in the trash. Everyone who lives here has a story.
I was born the 1st of June of 1960. I lived in the States for 30 years and a half. I've been back here in Guatemala City working in the dump for, say, about 9 years. Because I couldn't get a job anywhere else, I met my wife, and she introduced me to the dump. She was working here already, and ever since then, I've been here. This is where I live. This is what we use for a kitchen. We have a few beds, and there are extra beds that we have saved up for in case a visitor comes and we need a bed. We have a bed for them. Okay, now we look into this room. This is a TV room. What we use is a TV room. That's where we have the sofas and everywhere where you can sit. It's a little sloppy, but oh wow. At least we have a roof over our heads. And we have the water, what we take baths with, or bathe ourselves with it. There's no water in the daytime. We have to wait till nighttime. And that's my female cat there. I got her in the dump. One of the trucks was dumping the trash, and this big old box came out of the trash. When I grabbed it, it was tied up. It almost looked like a present. And when I opened up the box, she was in there, and she was still alive. You know, I felt sorry for her, so I brought her home. Ever since then, she's been here with me. But that's what people do a lot of times, especially if they can't find somebody that wants the cat or the dog, they'll throw it away as if it was trash. Usually I get up about 7 o'clock in the morning and get washed up, dressed up, and I'm down here at the dump about 9:30, 10 o'clock the latest. Early morning, we have a lot of trucks that come into the dump that bring in good donuts, pizza, hamburgers, and stuff like that, so nobody starves here. Just this morning, I had lasagna, a whole big old plate of lasagna, perfectly good. It wasn't even cold. Mostly everybody knows what truck is bringing in supermarket things or trash from the houses. You put your palm on the side of the truck, it's just to save you a space. And when the truck lifts this and dumps all the trash, you're free to collect whatever you want out of that pile. People throw away good things. People that come from good families, good homes, that have money, they get tired of something and they see some new model coming out or something. And sometimes if we're lucky, we might be able to get it down here in the dump.
Legalmente aquí todas las personas que trabajamos aquí, todo, nos consideramos casi como familia, porque todos los días, desde a primera hora hasta última hora, todos estamos juntos y todo, pues ni modo.
Te traen el sol de oriente de la loma del Cané. Si quieres te lo enseño para que lo aprendas bien. Tiene sabor a mamé, a mango de bizcochuelo, como el arroyuelo que cruza por mi jardín. Tiene sabor a mamé, a mango de bizcochuelo, como el arroyuelo que cruza por mi jardín.
Each afternoon, 250 buyers of trash arrive to weigh and buy recyclables. The average daily wage in the dump is 50 quetzals, the equivalent of $6. From nothing but trash, the Guajeros provide a living for over 2,000 families and reduce Guatemala's waste by 1 million pounds daily.
Tengo 16 años de trabajar en la basura. Han habido bastantes accidentes. Cuando sientan el costal para echárselo arriba, se cortan. Otros el hombro, muchos la cabeza. Trabajan muy duros. No da tiempo de pensar nada, solo sujetarse bien y esperar la voluntad de Dios.
A little girl got ran over by the truck because she wasn't careful. The driver was going on reverse. He couldn't see her, and he turned the wheel, and that's when they caught her. It was all, she was careless. And let's pray to God that she's okay and nothing happens to her.
And a lot of people here, one of their main problems is lung diseases, cancer. They're working in a place where there's a lot of gas, methane gas coming out of the garbage, and they're exposed to that. It's toxic. It's just like breathing propane gas. It just keeps on flowing.
This landfill is one of the most contaminated ones in all of Central America because it generates more methane gas and more carbon dioxide, and we're not doing anything to control that production.
If we had the resources, it would be a lot easier to control that. The danger here, if it starts to rain at the waste, if it starts falling in the middle of our platform, all the waste will fall down, and if there's people working right there, they could get buried inside the waste.
I know of at least a couple of kids that have got buried in the trash, you know, from an avalanche. We've had even the Army come over here to try and help the firemen and all that, looking for the bodies. They never did find the bodies. I guess all the gases and everything that runs in the trash just ate them up completely, because they didn't find no bones, they didn't find anything. They didn't find no clothing, nothing that belonged to them anyway. This month that we're on now, which is May or June, July, those are the months that usually rains, and that's usually the hardest days in the dump. You're taking the risk of getting sick, and you might not make much. You might make 10, 15 Qs, 20 Qs, and you go home soaked and wet. Yeah. So we have a lot of glue sniffers around. They use these little bottles here, alcohol bottles, to put the glue in. And later on, they'll be there all day long with the plastic bottle in their mouth, sniffing that stuff. I've asked some of them what it feels like to sniff glue or sniff thinner, and they tell me that they see whatever they want to see. They want to do something, it gives them the strength to do whatever they want to do.
The drug problem, it has been here for years. It's something that we see every day. It's hard for us to control because we don't have the structure, we don't have the people to control that. I mean, that's, I would say, the police's job.
For many generations, kids have been raised here, from toddlers to adolescents. Their labor in the dump provides additional income for single mothers and entire families. For these children, it is a world like no other, and they have known no other.
Not a lot of people here have education, so most of them don't even know how to write. You know, the parents, the grandparents. So they made it here, they made it in the landfill, so they feel like their kids are not gonna need education.
I've seen kids of 8, 9, 10 years old make up to 150 Qs in one day. And they make pretty good money. Sometimes I ask them, what are you gonna do with all that money? Oh, I have to give my mom half of the money, and the other half I'm gonna buy some shoes, or I'm gonna buy a toy, I'm gonna do this and that. You know, you have some kids that just come down to the dump in the daytime sometimes, or in the afternoons, just to look for toys. It's like some of the little girls that go down there and they find a doll, oh, they're all happy. Mom, look what I found. I found a doll. And sometimes it might be missing an arm or something. And what I've heard them say is, well, it's missing an arm, maybe we can find another arm for her. you know, from another day.
Por lo menos yo conozco un muchachito que tiene 10 años. Allá abajo duerme. ¿Y dónde está esa mamá? ¿Dónde está ese papá que lo engendró? No se acuerdan de que existe ese muchachito y que lo que al niño le pase en la conciencia de esa persona va a ir.
Mamá, yo quiero, me quedo aquí a dormir. Y entre veces me quedo, entre veces voy, entre veces me quedo aquí.
¿Sus padres trabajan aquí?
No.
¿Por qué?
Mi papá murió y ahora mi mamá tengo un padrastro que no me quiere a mí. Y yo tengo que vivir aquí porque no puedo irme para otro lado. Y mis tías no me quieren, solo yo puedo estar viviendo solo. Es que quisiera estudiar, salir de aquí porque no puedo estar aquí. Y mi papá dijo que nunca iba a agarrar un vicio, nada, nunca he agarrado. Ahora decidí vivir aquí, que aquí se gana pisto y aquí come uno. Y ahorita no hay comida porque no ha venido el señor que trae pollo.
With large families and little hope, survival is essential. By 1990, the growing number of children and infants in the dump reached such proportions, the municipality was forced to act. Through a private donation of land and a grassroots fundraising campaign, a new daycare facility was created. One select teacher was hired to give these children some chance.
Bueno, mi nombre es Sonia de Roche, soy directora del Jardín Infantil Municipal Santa Clara, que está ubicado en el relleno sanitario. Mas, sin embargo, todo esto era muy distinto a como es hoy. Pues en ese entonces eso fue lo que encontré, niños entre la basura, niños sucios, niños que no tenían ninguna esperanza de salir del basurero. Pensé en que yo podía hacer la diferencia entre estar entre la basura y estar en una institución donde los niños pudieran tener la oportunidad. Elaboré un proyecto educativo muy ambicioso, así, muy ambicioso.
The Santa Clara Nursery was constructed just outside of the dump. The daycare's volunteers and employees included a doctor, a nutritionist, a psychologist, and many teachers. As a result, Guajero's young children can now receive a well-balanced diet, education, and medical attention. Just 2 years after the opening of the Santa Clara Nursery, UNICEF recognized their humanitarian efforts with its top award. But despite their efforts, many mothers still resist.
Estas personas, cuando se dio el inicio del jardín, no tenían ningún interés de participar en un proyecto educativo. Cuesta que la gente capte esa idea, cuesta convencer a la gente que este lugar es bueno.
Aura Marina is a 24-year-old mother who, like her mother and her mother before, was raised working in the landfill. Her daughters Michelle and Maria Jesus have followed in their footsteps.
¿Por qué trabajan en el basurero?
Con necesidad.
¿Y su mamá trabaja en la basurero
Sí,
también?
ella también.
¿Y qué pasó con su mamá?
Andaba trabajando ahí abajo y un camión la atropelló y ella estaba embarazada y le pasó en esto del estómago, le pasó la llanta y se murió. Tal vez ya no trabajar aquí y tener una casa y que darles de comer a mis hijos, pues, y ya no trabajar aquí.
Yo soy madre y yo quiero el bien para mis hijos. En cambio, hay mamás que no les importa eso. Se preocupan solo en trabajar y los niños ahí los abandonan. En cambio, uno de madre tiene que darse cuenta del bien y el mal para los hijos, pero no todas las mamás son iguales. No todas las mamás tienen el mismo pensar. Pero ya queda en el cariño de la madre porque las han llegado a rogar, les han dicho llévelo, no se le va a cobrar, que los niños van a estar bien ahí. Ah, sí, ahí los voy a llevar. Y ya no los lleva. Prefieren cargarlos ahí llevando tierra.
The never-ending cycle of illiteracy and poverty has trapped families in the dump for 60 years. Many children have surrendered their adolescence to help save their families, assuring yet another generation of guajeros.
Yo también creo que el basurero es reflejo de la forma en que es Guatemala. Es un reflejo de la falta de educación, de la falta de acceso a salud, de la falta de acceso a vivienda y a la tierra. Y una de las cosas que más preocupan es que hasta hoy se ha manejado como que es problema del alcalde de la ciudad de Guatemala. La mitad de la gente que vive en esta ciudad acaba de venir del campo y no hay programas serios para atender esas deficiencias. Ahí miran los alcaldes de la ciudad de Guatemala cómo hacen para resolver esas demandas y con qué capacidad y con qué recursos deben atenderlos.
As the problems of the dump grew, 2,000 tons of trash continued to arrive each day. All the while, a time bomb was ticking, the buildup of methane gas.
Lo único con lo que podría yo comparar lo que es este incendio es con un infierno. El fuego salía de las entrañas de la tierra. Se veía esto rojo y gris, negro, esos eran los colores que imperaban. Entonces era algo caótico realmente, el ambiente estaba nublado, la situación no se podía aquí en este relleno, era una alta contaminación la que existía.
Lo que empezó con una quema de basura normal se salió de control, pero la misma descomposición de la basura provocaba explosiones y el humo impedía la labor, ya que el humo impide la visualización. Los gases contaminantes en el ambiente a consecuencia del incendio del relleno sanitario de la zona 3 perjudica a los habitantes de ese sector de la capital.
Ahorita estamos evacuando a los niños de 1 a 7 años para que durante el día, en lo que se termina de aplacar el incendio, el humo no esté afectando.
Like the clouds of toxic smoke, the effects of the week-long fire lingered throughout the city. The National Police challenged all entry to both workers and trucks. 21 schools were shut down to their 6,000 students. Over the next 3 weeks, the Guajeros' daily existence grew to hopeless despair. Would the dump reopen? Would the Guajeros again be allowed inside?
Some of them were worried because we weren't working and they needed money to go eat with. You know, they have their families to support. And with them not being able to work, they weren't able to make any money.
Ahora el juego que hubo ahorita legalmente nos fregó a todos, ¿verdad? Tengo 50 años de vivir aquí. Hay que luchar para que no lo cierren. Tenemos que, con uñas y dientes, tenemos que luchar. Porque esta es la base de nuestra comida. De aquí comemos todos. Son miles los que comen de aquí, del basurero.
El incendio nos agarra por sorpresa, nos agarra en cierta forma desorganizados. Ayuda del gobierno y sí nos ayudaron para resolver el problema. El hecho de que todos fuéramos afectados da unas condiciones únicas para sentarse a la mesa y dialogar y buscar una solución conjunta.
Well, after the fire in January of 2005, everything's changed. As you can see, we have security guards here on the outside of the dump. We have to show the ID card in order to be able to get in there. If you don't have an ID card, which is this one, you can't get in there. Everything's changed. Working hours are from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And when those hours are up, they start throwing people out.
Antes era mejor. Antes porque uno entraba y salía de ahí. Antes uno juntaba su venta, salía uno a las 6, 7 de la noche que no había problema. Ahora no. Ahora para afuera. Entonces, más bien a todos nos fregaron.
Despite the controversies, the methane fire resulted in major reforms, including a commitment by the municipality to finally protect the children in the landfill. Now, after 60 years, no one under the age of 14 is allowed in the dump. The city has provided a new school for kids, ages 7 to 14, and a new job training program for all Guajeros.
La municipalidad ha estado muy firme en esto y vamos a evitarlo hasta que nos sea posible que vuelvan a entrar niños al lugar.
Pues la diferencia que miro yo que ahora que no hay niños, pues es lógico, se manipula uno mejor, hay menos peligro, no hay aquellos peligros de que algún carro o algo pueda agarrar a un niño.
After the fire, Aura Marina moved her daughters from the dust and debris to the Santa Clara nursery. Since the Santa Clara nursery was established in 1990, more than 3,000 children have been served meals, received medical attention and schooling. Quite a few have achieved higher education and good jobs, escaping the ravine and poverty. Today, every child learns that they do not have to be a Guajero.
¿Qué pasó ayer con Michelle?
La semana pasada se graduó de la prepa. Ahorita ya se graduó, ya el otro año se va primero. Ella es muy inteligente, le gusta estudiar.
I think it's very important for all of us to remember that there is a real dignity there and that the people are proud They work very hard and they've overcome enormous obstacles, and in spite of working in the garbage dump, they are very proud.
No es un buen negocio, pero es una buena fuente de sobrevivir. Solo le pido a Dios que nos dé un futuro mejor para nuestros hijos, o haya un mejor sistema para poder tratar los desechos. Uno tiene una visión de superarse, pero muchas veces la visión no es suficiente. Te necesita uno un empujón de una mano extra.
Me and myself, I consider us lucky. So we're very lucky to have this dump here. It doesn't make me feel sorry for myself. It doesn't make me think bad about myself, because at least I'm working honestly. We're all human. We all have eyes to see and a heart to feel.